The Crown Prince of Camelot, missing and feared dead in a plane crash off Martha's Vineyard. The fate of John F. Kennedy Jr. and his wife Carolyn and her older sister Lauren, still unknown at this hour. The only son of our 35th president carried the banner of his family's legacy. As a small boy, John John's brave salute to his father won the hearts of the world. Tonight, an intense air and sea search has the world holding its breath and hoping against hope.
This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. Once again, the Kennedy family is steeling itself tonight to deal with tragedy. After takeoff last night from New Jersey, a small plane carrying 38-year-old John F. Kennedy Jr., his wife and sister-in-law, vanished on approach to the Massachusetts island of Martha's Vineyard. The search goes on at this hour for survivors, but as darkness descends over the ocean, chances of finding anyone alive are fading like the light. CBS's John Roberts has the latest from Martha's Vineyard. John.
Good evening, Dan. Helicopters and other aircraft are still in the air at this hour, looking for any clues as to what happened to the plane piloted by John Kennedy Jr. And even as afternoon wears on into evening, bits and pieces of debris are reported to be still washing ashore. Debris that it appears increasingly likely came from the Kennedy plane. At about mid-morning, the search area had been concentrated in the Gayhead Aquina area, a stretch of beach that includes, ironically, a piece of property once owned by Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, and now in the family trust. The Coast Guard reported early this afternoon that it had found a piece of luggage that had an identification tag on it, that of Lauren Bissett. That piece of luggage was found by a group of visiting tourists on Philbin Beach.
There was a little flap that sort of velcroed down on the front of the suitcase, and I flipped it open, and it had a business card in there that says Lauren Bissett.
As much as investigators, search and rescue teams want to know what happened to the aircraft, they want to know how it happened. The weather over Martha's Vineyard was fairly clear last night with a stiff breeze blowing from the west, though flying in this area can be tricky at times. Fog and mist can move in, and there are very few landmarks if you're flying over water. It's easy to become disoriented. Pilots who fly this area a lot told us this afternoon. Now, elements of the Coast Guard, the State Police, the Civilian Air Patrol, and a host of volunteers are still searching the waters and scouring the beaches, looking for any evidence as to what might have happened to that aircraft. But with the waters fairly choppy and sunset about to close in, any hopes that anyone survived what appears to be a crash are fading very quickly. Dan?
John Roberts, thanks. From takeoff to last known radar sighting took roughly 70 minutes. Our CBS News aviation expert, Bob Orr, has been helping us cover this story all day. Tonight from Washington, he tells us what's been found out about the plane and the flight.
Kennedy, his wife, and sister-in-law were flying in a Piper Saratoga like this one, a single-engine plane commonly used in general aviation. Kyle Bailey was at the Essex County, New Jersey airport last night when they took off.
They were on the ramp talking around in front of their airplane, and then I guess they did the pre-flight check, and then I heard them doing running up the engine on the airplane.
The plane was flying under visual flight rules, meaning the pilot had to be able to see where he was going, using navigation aids, maps, and landmarks. Kennedy had not filed a flight plan, but that is often normal for small planes. After taking off at around 8:30 last night, FAA radar records show the single-engine aircraft hugged the coastline until it reached Rhode Island, and then turned east towards Martha's Vineyard. Sources say there was a high layer of haze, but that the weather was generally good. Sources tell CBS News Kennedy's plane was last picked up on radar at 9:39, about 17 miles west of Martha's Vineyard. That was a location consistent with an imminent final approach to the Vineyard Haven Airport. But the plane then disappeared from radar. No emergency declaration was ever heard. Early this morning, hours after the plane was due, Kennedy's family reported the plane missing. The search then began in earnest at 8 o'clock this morning, and by midday had expanded to include more than 20 aircraft and dozens of boats. The Saratoga is equipped with an emergency locator transponder, a beacon designed to set off a signal in case of a crash. But experts say if the plane sank, the beacon may have malfunctioned, or at least may be hard to hear. A special ocean research ship will troll underwater with sonar. Within the past few minutes, I've been told that the FAA now officially has asked the NTSB for help. That is the first preliminary yet formal step towards declaring that an accident has happened. But it's very important to say at this point they have not taken the final step saying that there is a crash. If there is a crash, though, investigators could have a very tough time. To date, there have been no survivors found. There was no declaration of emergency from the cockpit. And, of course, this small plane does not have the black boxes, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice tape. So, Dan, unless they find some real key in the wreckage, if it has been a crash, it may be that we won't know for a long time, or if ever, perhaps what happened up there.
Thanks. Bob Orr in Washington. After being told early this morning that the plane was missing, President Clinton called family members and said his prayers were with those on board. The Kennedys had gathered in Hyannisport for the wedding of John Jr.'s cousin. In an instant, the mood of joy was shattered. CBS's Elizabeth Caledon is there. Elizabeth?
That's right, Dan. At just about this hour, the Kennedy family compound behind me was to have been alive with the sounds of a wedding celebration that has now been postponed indefinitely. As caterers and florists arrived here, the hustle and bustle of putting on a wedding was stifled by an eerie silence from the Kennedy compound, and the big white tent stands empty tonight. With the exception of a few glimpses of Ethel Kennedy caught with a long lens, the family stayed out of sight after attending a morning prayer vigil which a family spokesman described as full of hope.
The prayers are for those who were not present. The prayers are hopes that everyone is safe and that the family will be reunited.
This was to have been one of the last big Kennedy weddings, uniting Bobby and Ethel's youngest daughter, Rory, with a New York film and book editor named Mark Bailey. The wedding meant police presence around the compound was already heavy.
We had been involved in planning for the wedding earlier in the week, so we would have been here for that. It's unfortunate we're here for this tragedy.
A friend of the family and former chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Steve Grossman, had lunch with Ethel here just last week and said she was filled with anticipation for this day.
She said, gee, it's going to be wonderful that family doesn't come together as much as they used to, and then she and Carrie had a little discussion about how many Kennedys, and they'd settled on 130 of the members of the family.
And now, Dan, visitors to this seaside community who came to share a celebration with the nation's most famous family fear they'll be mourning with them one more time. Dan?
Elizabeth Caledon in Hyannisport, thanks. For as long as we've known him, he's lived in a fishbowl, no matter how his family tried to protect him. And for many, John will always be the Prince of Camelot, the inheritor of the legacy, heir to the myth, keeper of the flame. Anthony Mason reports on the very public life of an essentially private man.
When he was born, even his name made headlines. John F. Kennedy Jr. was just 2 months old when his father took the oath of office, the firstborn son of a sitting president, a child of Camelot, the golden boy of a golden couple. He was called John, and we came to know him in pictures, the most intimate images of a presidential family we'd ever seen. But the assassination abruptly ended Camelot as the president was buried on John's 3rd birthday. A son saluted the father he would never come to know. Jacqueline Kennedy moved her children away from Washington after that, out of the spotlight, out of harm's way. John Jr. was sent to private schools. At Brown University, he had ambitions of becoming an actor, but his mother steered him to law school. The boy was becoming a man. The sexiest man alive, People magazine called him in 1988. That same year, in a speech to the Democratic National Convention, many sensed John Kennedy Jr. was growing into his name.
An unwavering commitment to the poor, to the elderly, to those without hope, regardless of fashion or convention, is the greatest reward of public service.
His reemergence meant the press followed him everywhere and hounded him about his failure to pass the bar.
Obviously, I'm very disappointed.
But he would spend 4 years working in the New York District Attorney's office.
Last night at around 10:15, my mother passed on.
After his mother's death 5 years ago, JFK Jr. seemed more determined to make his mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet George.
He launched a political magazine called George and made it clear his role was more than ceremonial. Then he snuck away to a small island off the Georgia coast to marry Carolyn Bessette. The boy we came to know in pictures said once that he had no memory of his father's death, but his love of flying stayed with him from the very beginning. In the end, it may have brought down a president's golden child. Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
There's more on the Kennedy story straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News. A portrait of Carolyn Bessette, the accomplished young woman in her own right who married a president's son. Also the flying school where John F. Kennedy Jr. earned his wings, and the shadow that forever seems to embrace America's most famous family.
Problem?
The doctor says my cholesterol's still too high.
What about diet and exercise?
They didn't do enough.
So?
He suggested adding Lipitor.
Lipitor, the #1 prescribed medication for lowering cholesterol. In clinical studies, Lipitor with diet was proven to lower bad cholesterol 39 to 60%, total cholesterol 29 to 45%, triglycerides 19 to 37%.
He said over 4 million people have started taking Lipitor to lower their cholesterol.
Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver disease or possible liver problems, women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant.
There'll be blood tests to check for liver problems.
Tell your doctor about muscle pain or weakness, as these may be signs of serious side effects.
You take Lipitor once a day.
Ask your doctor or pharmacist for more information on Lipitor and call 1-888-LIPITOR.
Well?
Lipitor did it. My cholesterol's way down.
Lipitor, the lower numbers you're looking for.
Out here, am I supposed to say, slow down, I'm constipated? I don't think so. So I rely on doctor-recommended Metamucil. Works with my body, gently, which is important to a sensitive guy like myself.
What should you do if you're having a heart attack? First, call an ambulance, then take Bayer aspirin. Now Bayer may help stop you from dying when taken during a heart attack. Talk to your doctor now. Bayer, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
It was a Camelot romance that immediately captivated the nation. But although she married into one of the nation's most famous families, for many, Carolyn Bessette Kennedy remains something of a mystery. CBS's Cheryl Atkinson has some details.
The Kennedy spotlight focused intensely on Carolyn Bessette when she began her romance with one of the most sought-after bachelors in the world. Once engaged, even their arguments became grist for the media mill. This disagreement in Central Park captured on videotape by a tabloid. Gossip columnists predicted the wedding would be called off. But the wedding did happen, of course, in September of 1996, shrouded in as much privacy as the Kennedys could manage. Carolyn was young, glamorous, and elegant, born in posh Greenwich, Connecticut, where today a vigil was held at her former school. She had a successful career in the fashion industry. Once she married into the Kennedy family, she was dubbed an instant princess. And she became a fashion icon. Her hairstyles, choice of clothes, even her hemlines carefully followed and copied.
The clothes didn't wear her, she wore the clothes. She really had a strong sense of her own image.
Her favorite designer was Yohji Yamamoto. She frequented his New York store often enough to give the manager a glimpse of the Carolyn the public didn't know.
She had a great sense of humor. She was very funny. It was, we had a lot of laughs working together. And I guess the public image of her was that she was a little distant, but when you got to know her, she was very friendly and generous. She really cared about other people.
Married to America's most watched Kennedy, Carolyn Bessette tried to guard her privacy, and John Kennedy attempted to protect her from the hordes of photographers that were never far away, including at their apartment in New York's Tribeca neighborhood. Police have now cordoned off John and Carolyn's apartment building, except to the occasional mourner. Carolyn was close to her sister Lauren, who was also on the airplane. Lauren recently bought a penthouse in the same Tribeca neighborhood. Those who saw Carolyn and John together say they seemed close.
Because she embraced him with a lot of dignity, and she just seemed like a regular girl.
But John's flying was one area of disagreement. When he took up lessons a few years ago, Carolyn was said to have been upset, thinking the hobby too dangerous. Cheryl Atkinson, CBS News, New York.
Next up on the CBS Evening News, where John F. Kennedy Jr. earned his wings.
Look at all these laxatives. They all contain stimulants. That one says it may cause cramps. Only Phillips is stimulant-free. Nothing's more effective, nothing safer.
So I've heard.
Phillips, safe, effective relief without harsh stimulants.
My dentures always fit fine. I never thought of them as a problem until I saw the video of my son's wedding. It was then that I decided to try Fixodent.
Because Fixodent adjusts to the unique contours of your dentures and gums, forming a thin, powerful seal for a better hold than you ever thought possible.
It was like a whole new feeling, so snug and secure. For once, I actually forgot that I even wore dentures. So now, I like what I see.
Find out for yourself what it feels like to Fixodent and forget it. It's time. Time for your heartburn to kick in because your heartburn relief gave out. It happens 2 or more days a week, even though you've treated it and changed your diet. That frequent, persistent heartburn may be due to acid reflux disease, potentially serious.
It's Prilosec time. Time to see your doctor about prescription Prilosec. Your results may vary, but for many people, Prilosec provides 24 hours of complete heartburn relief with 1 daily dose. Ask your doctor for more information about Prilosec and if it's right for you. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. 24 hours of complete heartburn relief is possible. It's Prilosec time.
Want to color your gray beard or mustache and get a natural look? It's easy with Just for Men Gel.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men Gel. No one can tell with Just for Men Gel.
It's not regular hair coloring, it's specially made to penetrate that coarse, hard-to-color gray. Simply brush in and in 5 minutes, rinse. Now gray is gone, matched up to the rest of your hair.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men Gel.
We may never know absolutely for certain, but belief justifiably runs strong that John Kennedy Jr. was at the controls when his plane vanished. Though young Kennedy was not an experienced pilot, neither was he a novice. CBS's Byron Pitts reports he learned at a top-notch flight school and only recently went back to learn more.
At the academy where the wealthy and the well-known train, classmates and instructors say JFK Jr. had the looks and it logged the hours to be a skilled, though inexperienced pilot. Licensed for close to 2 years, Kennedy was trained here at the Flight Safety Academy in Vero Beach, Florida, considered one of the premier flight schools in the world.
It's dedicated specifically for the training of professional pilots, specifically airline pilots. Upon occasion, they do take on special cases such as Mr. Kennedy.
A classmate of Kennedy's, Justin Allison, says JFK Jr. would have known how to fly over water at night.
Being right on the coast, we do fly over water as part of our training at night and during the day.
Experts in single-engine planes say the model Kennedy flew was top of the line.
I often liken that airplane to an airborne Chevrolet Suburban, a vehicle that does everything reasonably well, carries a good load, carries 6 people, is nicely appointed.
According to his classmate, JFK Jr. was just at the academy last month, here for what's called recurring training, a refresher course to sharpen his skills. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Vero Beach, Florida.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, some of the rest of the day's news, and then reflections on the Kennedy family's burden.
In the beginning, all was darkness and sorrow. And then, one day, come, it is time. The Maytag Dual Cool Refrigerator, where finally the temperatures are just right. Yay, our future looks bright indeed, for this refrigerator actually keeps food fresh.
From a small clog to a major problem. Next time, call a trained Roto-Rooter plumber to fix it.
Quick Dissolve Maalox contains calcium.
Get more calcium than regular Tums with new Maalox Quick Dissolve Chewable Antacid.
The calcium is an added plus, definitely.
And it dissolves faster than Tums.
I can't improve on that.
Quick Dissolve your heartburn away and get more calcium.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
No, this isn't a jeans commercial. It's about constipation. You're bloated, not yourself. Your size 10s feel like 2s.
FiberCon has natural fiber action to relieve bloating constipation.
I'm myself again.
FiberCon, be regular, be yourself.
From a store like this, we'll go on like this, live on like this, and look like this, give you pride like this, cause it's true.
The Great Paint event is on at True Value. Now's the time to save on everything you need. But hurry, the event ends August 1st. The Great Paint event, only at True Value. Great paint, great store.
An American tragedy. John F. Kennedy Jr. is missing. The latest on the search and the families on a special edition of 48 Hours, tonight at 8, 7 Central.
Much of the nation baked in unrelenting summer heat again today. Hot, steamy weather smothered the Northeast with heat index readings in the 100s in many areas. As CBS's Rita Braver reports now, the surging mercury is triggering concerns about the nation's power supply.
It's already one of the hottest summers on record. Day after sweltering day, Americans have dashed to their air conditioners with some unpleasant results. Earlier this month, at the peak of the heat wave, hundreds of thousands of residents along the East Coast lost power. The major reason? Demand for electricity is rising faster than supply.
The good economy that we've had, certainly for the last 7 or 8 years, has increased the kinds of things people can buy and want to buy.
That means electricity for brand new neighborhoods and bigger houses. The average new house size has increased by 600 square feet over the last 20 years, and more goodies are going into them.
Lots of TVs, lots of computers, VCRs, multiples per home.
Refrigerators with a built-in ice
certainly
maker.
Larger refrigerators and larger freezers are certainly more prominent today.
But new power plant construction has not kept up with the new consumption.
I don't think any planners anywhere anticipated 15 years of uninterrupted growth.
But it's not just that power companies fail to anticipate the economic boom. Plants are expensive to build and often face local opposition.
Who wants a power plant like this in their line of vision? Who wants transmission lines, those sorts of things? It's a trade-off.
So now Americans may be faced with a difficult choice. Either push for the building of new power plants, maybe near our own backyards, or cut back on some of the comforts and conveniences we now take for granted. Rita Braver, CBS News, Alexandria, Virginia.
Relatives of the victims of TWA Flight 800 gathered on New York's Long Island today. They held a memorial service and a groundbreaking for a monument to the 230 people lost 3 years ago today when that plane crashed into the Atlantic. Investigators are convinced that exploding fuel vapors caused the crash, but so far they've not been able to pinpoint what ignited the fumes. Now, when the CBS Evening News returns, the tragic hand fate keeps dealing to the Kennedy family.
Where will you be when your grandson gets his first taste of the ocean? When man walks on Mars? When your children want to discover their heritage? Life is filled with moments you don't want to miss. That's why if you have high cholesterol and heart disease, you should know about Zocor. Zocor is proven to help save lives by reducing the risk of a heart attack. So where will you be tomorrow? That could depend on what you do today. When diet and exercise aren't enough, talk to your doctor about adding Zocor. Zocor is a prescription medication and is not right for everyone, including women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant, or people with liver problems. Your doctor may do blood tests to check for liver problems, because serious side effects can result. Tell your doctor about any muscle pain or weakness you experience while on Zocor, and about any medicines you are taking. For more information, talk to your doctor or call. Zocor, it's your future. Be there.
You won't believe your mouth with this antacid.
That's amazing.
Dissolved almost immediately.
Like, it's gone.
Introducing Maalox Quick Dissolve Chewables, a whole new kind of calcium antacid for heartburn.
It dissolves quickly when you put it in your mouth. Very quick.
New Maalox Quick Dissolve Chewables dissolve faster and more completely than Tums.
Didn't have to dig it out of my teeth. No grit. It's gone.
New Maalox Quick Dissolve Chewable Tablets. Quick dissolve your heartburn away.
Quick dissolve. Maalox.
From 1 Minute Maalox.
Like protagonists in some Greek drama, the Kennedy clan is no stranger to tragedy. The president was assassinated, as was his brother, and perhaps most ironic in light of what happened today, 2 others of his siblings died in plane crashes, and his brother Ted broke his back in a plane crash. Eric Ingberg looks back on a fairy tale family and the nightmares that have plagued them.
In a land that wanted no part of royalty, the Kennedys became something close. But their power and glamour are tightly bound with recurrent tragedy so lacerating it can make a nation cry.
You know, we get up to one of those plateaus in which it looks like the family is healed and come together, and then suddenly it strikes again. Death walks out into this stage.
The founding father, Joseph P. Kennedy, dreamed that one of his sons would be president. It was not the studious Jack he had in mind, but his oldest son, Joe. Then Joe was killed in World War II, and Jack was drafted for a political career, accompanied by his 2 brothers. Some saw a dynasty in the making. The Kennedys made everyone feel young. Until that November day in 1963, when many Americans stopped feeling young forever. Few who saw it ever forgot the brave little boy beside the casket. 5 years later, as Robert Kennedy campaigned for the presidency in California, he too was murdered. The remaining brother, Edward, probably destroyed his chance to be president by driving the car in which a young woman drowned in a place called Chappaquiddick. Believers in a Kennedy curse will duly note tomorrow is the 30th anniversary of that tumultuous event. The next generation of Kennedys has sometimes seemed to relish skating near the edge. A nephew, William Kennedy Smith, was acquitted of sexual assault, but only after a trial that embarrassed the family. Robert's son Michael was first tarnished by a sex scandal, then died in a skiing accident. His brother Joseph was forced to leave politics by a tell-all book by his ex-wife. Some Kennedys, like Kathleen Townsend, the lieutenant governor of Maryland, appear destined for future stardom. But it is the tragedies, each new one evoking memories of the last, that has made the Kennedy myth, and makes us think back to the words that John Kennedy spoke while in the White House. Life, he said, is unfair. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
As night falls on the Massachusetts resort island of Martha's Vineyard, an ocean search continues and presses on for the small, very small plane carrying John F. Kennedy Jr., his wife Carolyn, and her sister Lauren Bissett. The plane was last sighted last night approaching the island on a flight from New Jersey. No bodies or survivors have been found, but some debris, possibly, many would say probably, from the Kennedy plane has been retrieved. That's part of our world tonight. We'll be back with the very latest developments in this continuing story later this evening on a special CBS broadcast.
A small plane carrying John